Hi, everyone. I'm back. We are continuing with our discussion of how to break free from dependence on coding tutorials. So last time, we started off by talking about making a plan. All right. But today we're going to be focusing more on that implementation side of things. And if you're not sure what I mean by implementation, go back and look at the last video, and you'll understand again what we mean by that implementation versus design. So today, I'm going to make a suggestion for you. Um, I'm going to suggest that you learn a basic skill set in your target programming language. And let me explain why. And then we're going to look at the game, the example game from before in terms of this suggested skill set. So one of the problems with following a tutorial or a guided class when you're learning how to make a game or a program is that usually that tutorial or class will cover a lot of different skill sets and features and they'll cover them pretty quickly, right? Um, and then that can sometimes lead you to feeling overwhelmed, like there's too much going on, too much to absorb at once, and it's really hard to hone in on the the individual components, right? And then that just makes you feel worse when you get to the point where you need to write your own program or game without relying on the tutorial or a teacher telling you what to type, right? Um, so Today, I'm going to share with you the skill set that I suggest that you learn in whichever programming language or development tool that you're using. And you'll see that this skill set will cover most of the core tasks you'll need to do for almost any game. Now, of course, um, a lot of games will go above and beyond this skill set. But this will, if you learn these skills, this will be a good foundation for you. Okay. And what I'm sharing now on my screen, I made a post, a text post that you can also go back and look at. Because if, for me, I know that I learn best, or I prefer to read rather than listen to a video or watch a video. So you'll have this as a reference too. I'll post that link for you in the description. Okay. So let's get to the skills. It's only a couple. We got like about six here. So they include drawing sprites and images to the screen, drawing text to the screen, getting and responding to player input, whether that's via keyboard, a mouse, a controller, a joystick, touch screen, whatever the case may be, depending on what devices your game will be on or your program will be on. Using conditional statements, and a conditional statement basically says something in your program that says, if one condition is true, take a certain action. Else, if a different condition is true, take a different action. All right. Storing, checking, and using data in variables. All right. If you don't know what variables are, that's a basic programming concept. So you definitely want to go check that out and read up on that. And then finally, basic arithmetic and number comparisons and operations. Okay, so that's things like addition, subtraction, checking if two values are equal, checking if one number is greater than or less than another, and so on. All right. Now, I first introduced this list of suggested skills in my Game Jam learning plan that I put together I think earlier this year or last year, I don't remember, but you can check that out, and I'll post a link to that if you want a fun way that you can learn and practice game development and actually make something rather than just relying on tutorials, right? And that's what we've been talking about, right? So you can go check that out if you want to learn more about that for a game development perspective. I also want to point out that, if you are familiar with with certain things that happen in games, or you have some maybe a bit of advanced programming knowledge. I didn't put some things in there, like I didn't say anything about lists or arrays or data types or data structures. I didn't say anything like saving to or reading from files, or reading, getting information from a website or anything like that. Those are important, and if you know about those already, that's great. But as we'll see, with the game example again, if you're starting off and you need to, start weaning yourself from tutorials, you and making basic games, you can actually accomplish quite a bit with just the list that we've gone over. Okay. So again, let's take a look at this example game again. And again, the game will be linked, so I'm not necessarily going to play it again. And you can go back and watch the first video if you want to see a demo at the beginning. But let's talk about how each of these skills are showing up in the game. Okay. Um, so, okay, I lied. I will go ahead and just demonstrate it for you really quickly. Okay. So going through it really quickly. So text, showing text on the screen. So all of our instructions, things like the score, and the misses and stuff like that, that's all text on the screen. Um, Sprites and images. I got my paddle and I got my falling object. So those are sprites and images that need to appear on the screen, right? Um, what else did we say? We said getting and responding to player input. Okay, so that started even on the beginning screen, um, where I pressed the key to start the game, and then in the play screen, I'm using the keyboard to move the paddle back and forth. Right. Um, Conditional statements. So again, that if a condition is true, do one thing else. If a different condition is true, do something else. So we had some examples like if the object falls off the screen, then that counts as a miss. So you increase the number of misses by one. If you catch the object, you get a point added to your score. And then if you're misses or if the number of misses is greater than the max allowed number, then you get a game over, right? Storing, checking, and using data in variables. So the score and the number of misses, as well as the maximum allowable number of misses, those are all stored in variables. And then finally, basic math and arithmetic and number comparisons. So we've got addition, the game adds to the score and the number of misses, and then that number comparison. So we need to check to see if the number of misses is greater than the number of allowed misses, right? And if that's true, like if the user has gotten more than 5 misses, then the game is over. All right. So those basic skills pretty much are the bread and butter of this game that we created, and you can actually make a lot of really simple games just using these skills. All right. So if you spend time really practicing and familiarizing yourself with these skills and these tasks, you'll be able to do a lot more on your own, and you won't feel as bound um, to a tutorial or a teacher telling you what to do. One thing you might want to do is to make a cheat sheet or a quick reference guide for yourself on how to do these tests in your target programming tool or language, right? You can just, make a little file, Word document or file, or, you know, maybe even write it out by hand in a notebook, so that you'll just be able to have a quick reference for how to do this. But honestly, um, with a lot of these tasks and skills, you'll do them so often that they'll start to become second nature, so you won't even have to really think about it as much. And I'm going to be creating some resources on how you can create like cheat sheets and reference guides for yourself. So check back for that. And I also will link. I have an ebook that you can check on um, about study tips for programming. All right, so, a quick short ebook that you might want to check that can help you with some of this. All right. So there we go. So, I understand that starting off with learning these skills will take a bit of front end investment. But, if you really make that commitment and pour the time into it, you'll be so much more confident and productive. And you'll start to see the light and be able to dig your way out of this tutorial limbo or purgatory people get into where they're stuck following somebody else's instructions, but never actually able to make anything on their own. Okay, great. I hope this helped. Again, we'll be talking more about this subject, so stay tuned and let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. All right, thanks again, guys. Bye.